Hey crypto kids, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be discussing what can potentially happen to Bitcoin in the upcoming hours and days. And additionally to Bitcoin, well, we will have a couple of different charts, some interesting facts that have been long forgotten, right? So I'm going to give it a little bit of a hint on that, but a couple of very interesting things. We're going to have a look at Bitcoin as well. Some news that has came up today that is not the best for the United States economy, and some very important news events that is going to be happening next week. So, ladies and gents, all of that and much, much more are going to be on today's video. So make sure to smash up the like button, turn on, hold on, is this going to work? Please work, please work, please work. It's not working. No. Okay, so I'm going to do it manually because this was something that I wanted to do for a while since this new macOS update came out. So hold on. Smash up the like button, turn on the notification bell, subscribe, and ladies and gents, let's jump in to the video right now. Okay, so looking at the price of Bitcoin, right? So this is the short term. Well, it's not the short term, it's the daily time frame for Bitcoin. Now, once we look at the daily chart, I know I have a couple of advanced indicators at the moment, which will give us a sense of direction on what can happen in the upcoming hours and days. So just to recap a little bit, in the previous videos this week, we've been discussing about this ascending channel, this ascending parallel channel that we have been seeing, and we discussed the breakout target for this ascending parallel channel would be the $38,000 mark. So we hit the target of this ascending channel, so that was $38,000. But what is next? What are we going to see next? Well, that is a very good question. Now, if we look here on the bottom section of the chart, we can see the RSI. Now, the RSI has been forming a massive bearish divergence since a couple of days now, right? And this is very critical. Now, on top of this bearish divergence, we've had the MRI, which is a momentum indicator that Tone Vase, my technical analysis mentor, really taught me on how to use it. It's just such a good indicator for momentum, right? Measuring momentum, when momentum is going to reverse, etc. And we've had two tops on this momentum indicator already. Now, I won't go into too much detail on what it is, but again, the basic concept is when you have tops, an extension C that does indicate a usual reversal towards the downside. Now, as I say always, the higher the time frames, the more effective the indicator. So yes, we had two MRI tops, and we also had an extension C over on this candle, right? And on top of that, on the weekly chart for Bitcoin, we also have a weekly MRI top, which has not been seen too often on this chart. So that is also another thing. Now, it looks like Bitcoin can potentially see a reversal towards the downside, and this reversal can be back towards the $35,000 area, in my opinion, because that is where we're getting the support from volume. So if Bitcoin reverses down to $35,000, do not be scared. It is very likely. And at that point, I will be considering into opening more long positions because yes, I have long positions set for $31,000 for worst case scenario that we see a retest to these levels, because this level is incredibly important resistance. Well, not resistance anymore, but support for Bitcoin. Because, well, I discussed this in the previous video, but there is a likelihood of Bitcoin coming back down here. And if we do, I want to make sure to buy up as cheap Bitcoin as possible, right? So that's why we have our limit orders here on Bitflex. But guys, talking about buying cheap Bitcoin, if we look at Bitcoin standings across other assets in the world, we can see that Bitcoin has taken its place as the 11th most valuable asset by market cap in the world. And as you can see, there is not many steps left until we take over gold, right? And once we do take over gold and Bitcoin becomes the money, things are going to be looking very, very different. However, Bitcoin is back. We are back at the 11th position. We're currently more valuable than Tesla in terms of market cap, which is absolutely fantastic. And I thought it would be something very interesting to share with you guys, my audience. Now, also funnily, literally a year ago today, Bitcoin was at $16,000. So if I switch over to this chart, we can see that over here, well, actually 10th of November, so 1 day ago, 1 year ago, if that makes sense, we were at $16,000, ladies and gents. Bitcoin was at $16,000. And ever since that $16,000 Bitcoin, if I just get rid of these so we can see it more clearly, Bitcoin has actually seen an increase by around 150%. So if we take it from the very, very low to where we are at the moment, Bitcoin has actually gone up by 140%. that is a sensational amount compared to any other asset class. So again, if you have been buying up at the bottom, holding, then massive, massive congrats. But even funnier, 2 years ago today, 2 years ago today, Bitcoin was at the all-time high of well, $69,000. So it's so funny. We had the top literally 2 years ago, and exactly 1 year after, almost exactly 1 year after, we had the bottom for Bitcoin. So that is very interesting. And now we're kind of in the middle of between. So I just wanted to point this out. Look, 69K, 10th of November, back in 2021. Then 1 year ago, we're at $16,000 in 2022, and in 2023, we are literally at the bang on middle. So that is pretty interesting to me. And let's see what happens in the upcoming here, coming towards the halving, because actually the halving will be very significant. And if I go to cryptokit.com here and go to the halving countdown, we can see that there is an estimated time of about 144 days until the next Bitcoin halving. And we all know what happens after a halving. We see a massive, massive bull market, and I can't wait for that to happen. So ladies and gents, things are looking amazing for Bitcoin in the macro. However, in the short term, again, don't be too scared if we see a reversal back down to the 35K, and even towards the $31,000 is still a potential. And like I said, I am prepared with buying Bitcoin at $31,000. That would actually be an extremely healthy retest for Bitcoin if we come down and then towards the halving, of course, continue up with more volume. That would be extremely healthy for Bitcoin. And that would actually be a very nice opportunity, in my opinion, to be buying. Guys, jumping over to the news, right? So, God, I didn't want to really cover this, but I think, look, Peter Schiff, he is not too much of a Bitcoin maxi, but I do have to agree with him over here when he says that Bitcoin, well, we already came to $38,000. We came up to this level completely based off of speculation. I mean, let's have a look at it, right? Let's have a look at the events. Bitcoin, we saw this massive wick to $30,000 because of the fake news about the Bitcoin BlackRock ETF. Then we had the DTCC listings. Then we had some other stuff. Like, it's just been based off of hype. We've seen no, like, any ETF being approved. It's just been the same news paraphrased into different titles. And because of that, Bitcoin has been very much pumping. So that's the situation here. And guess what? The open interest has actually collapsed. Now, the open interest, if you're, again, one of the OGs on the channel, it's looking at how many people have their options open, so their option contracts open. Bitcoin saw this options levels go down drastically. We were at all-time highs in terms of open interest, and that has actually significantly dropped. So a significant drop in options interest, well, overall, it can result in the market going into the opposite direction, right? So we can see a reversal in direction in the market. That's another indication that Bitcoin can see a small retracement back towards the downside. So again, if we do so, that's just opportunity to be buying Bitcoin at less prices, right? So that is another indicator that could cause Bitcoin to dump towards the downside a little bit, right? And one of the final things I want to mention is Dogecoin, because I've been talking about this a lot on the channel. And Dogecoin is finally breaking out of this massive triangle that we've been having on the weekly time frame. And I'm super, super bullish on Doge, with X going to become a finance app within the next year. And Elon saying that they're not going to launch a token for X. Potentially could be, they're potentially going to be using Dogecoin, right? Because Elon has a tweet saying that he will always be supporting Doge, and what better ways to doing that by integrating it into X itself. So I'm massively bullish on Dogecoin, and we are seeing this break towards the upside. Now, into the traditional world, we have the core CPI coming out next week on, let's see what day it is. I believe it's on Tuesday, so November 14th on Tuesday, we're gonna have the CPI and core CPI coming out. CPI last time was at the same at 3.7%. Core CPI saw a drop to 4.1%. If we see a further drop in CPI, this could indicate that interest rates are finally going to see some sort of reversal. And of course, that would be overall bullish for the economy. We need the traditional economics to be bullish as well, because if interest rates go down, then people will have more capital to inject into assets like Bitcoin, causing Bitcoin's price to increase. So that's why this is very important in terms of news. Now, the final thing is this article over here, that Moody's on Friday lowered its outlook on the U.S. credit rating to negative from stable. A rating downgrade of the sovereign by another ratings agency, Fitch, was caused after the U.S. debt ceiling had to be increased, and this was very bad for the treasury market too. So it's not looking too good in the macro for the US economy, with their national debt over $33.7 trillion, right? $33.7 trillion that has increased by over $2 trillion in the last 3 to 4 months. That is not good whatsoever. So if they can, well, it's eventually going to implode on itself, right? And that's when Bitcoin's true value is going to come out. But in the short term, if interest rates can see a small reversal, maybe they can continue postponing this implosion. Again, that would still benefit Bitcoin as money flows into Bitcoin when interest rates usually drop down, because people have more money and capital to spend. Ladies and gents, that was it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to destroy the like button, like so. So if I go to reactions and like do this, so make sure to destroy the like button. And guys, thank you so much for watching. Take care, everyone, and I will see you all in the next video very soon. God, that was super cringe. Thank you, guys, and bye-bye.